Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting this July 11th, 2017. We have 6 of 7 Planning Commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Green is excused for the evening. We're grateful for the public that's here this evening and hope that you either have previously or are planning on tonight getting your free Slurpee from 7-Eleven on 7-Eleven Day, right? Not that we endorse 7-Eleven, but we want to save the residents of West Jordan money, so. And I believe you have free dinner at Chick-fil-A if you wear a cow costume, from what I hear on Cow Appreciation Day.
Put while you're ahead.
So, we have 4 items of business on our agenda this evening. The first one is the minutes from June 20th, 2017. If any commissioner has any action they'd like to take on that. Commissioner Sikoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the minutes.
I second that.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Sikoski and a second by Commissioner Hanson. Any discussion to that motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0, which brings us to our first public hearing this evening. Applecross Commercial, continued from our May 16th meeting, 2735 West, 7800 South, preliminary site plan in an SC2 zone. Land Development LLC, Adam Nash is the applicant. Mr. Nash, please feel welcome and invited to come up and present your application.
Hello, Adam Nash with Land Development LLC. My address is 4376 South 7th East in Salt Lake, 84107. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I really appreciate a 6 o'clock meeting too. Those are awesome. We needed to come back this last time because our site plan that we had proposed didn't meet the fire marshal's interpretation of code. So we had to rework the site plan a little bit. So that's how come we're back in with a similar square footage count, still retail use, and similar architecture as before. It's 2 buildings instead of 1. So we broke the building in half so that the fire has the opportunity to make the turnaround that they want.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Nash?
Hopefully you've been over there and seen all the... We don't get too many calls. We try to keep the water truck handy.
Well, thank you. We'll leave some time for you if there's anything you'd like to address after the public comments. Mr. Gardner, you have this item for the city?
Yes. So Applecross Commercial is on this screen is that outlined area. It's part of the Applecross subdivision, which is mostly a residential subdivision. However, when Hamlet Homes rezoned the property, they felt to leave the frontage along 7800 South commercial because it was the wish of the city council to keep that a commercial corridor, and so Mr. Nash has purchased this property and is proposing, as he said, to develop some smaller retail. Now, one of the buildings is a little over 5,000 square feet, and the other that's wrapped around the parking lot, you can see on the screen, is a little over 2,000 square feet, and that'll probably be something that will, be mostly a drive-up type use, and you can see the drive will go around the building. Now it will be accessed via the private Applecross Road. There won't be any direct access onto 7800 South, but it'll be the Applecross subdivision road that will both service this commercial and the residential to the back. The application meets parking, landscaping area. The only thing that I bring up is right to the top. If I can get my pointer over there, this garbage receptacle will need to be moved probably down into this area. Code does not allow them to be out on major arterials that are visible, and the applicant's fully aware of that and has agreed to move that. The drawing to the right is what probably, or well, that is what the smaller building will look like, the drive-through building retail, and the one on the left is kind of the material and the shape of the building that will be to the back, the 5,000 square foot area. Staff's reviewed this and recommend that the Planning Commission grant preliminary approval with the conditions of approval contained in the staff report. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Any questions for staff? All right, well, this was noticed as a public hearing. If anyone would like to offer comments, questions, concerns, you're welcome to come to the podium. You'd have 3 minutes to speak on this item. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and bring it back to deliberation by the Planning Commission. Commissioner Sikoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we've kind of already gone through the discussion on this property, and as this is just kind of a revamp of the same idea, I'm just going to go ahead and make a motion that I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan for the Applecross Commercial located at 2735 West, 7800 South in the SC2 zone, subject to the conditions, the 5 conditions that are set forth in the staff report, and also, as Mr. Gardner has mentioned, that the waste receptacle is moved per code.
Thank you. Commissioner Luthi.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sikoski and a second by Commissioner Luthi. Is there any discussion of the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 6-0. Thank you for doing business in West Jordan. Brings us to item number 3, our second public hearing for the evening. South Jordan Zones 7 and 8 water tank, 8,000 West, Old Bingham Highway, preliminary site plan and a conditional use permit in a PF zone. South Jordan City is the applicant. Representatives from South Jordan, welcome to West Jordan. Please come on up and state your names.
Great to be here. Don Tingy with South Jordan City.
Mike Chambers with Hanson and Lewis.
Thank you. Please feel free to present your application.
South Jordan City is proposing to build a 5 million gallon water tank there at the said address, 8,000 West and Old Bingham Highway, across the street from West Jordan's existing tank and the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy tank. And we're anxious to get started on that. And I believe you've reviewed the plans, and there's a landscaping plan there along with the plans for the tank as well.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? All right, a question that came up in the pre-meeting, just curious, do you always use a chain link fence to surround the water tank? It's black vinyl, it's unclimbable, presumably, but have you ever used any other fencing?
Trying to think. I guess there are some circumstances where if it was in a park and we've used some wrought iron fence around the ports, but the park has been completely, it has landscaping over the top of it, and and it's used as a park, and we've just tried to, for security purposes, enclose the hatches. Trying to think where else.
Could you speak to that? Because that's one of our thoughts, is why chain link here instead of wrought iron? Why did you use wrought iron over there? Is it because it's a park area and this is and this, by contrast, would be surrounded by an M1 zone?
I think our thought was we were just matching what was existing there at the West Jordan tank and the Conservancy District tank, and nothing else out there is built to the similar like a park standard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, we appreciate that. Mr. Gardner, you have this item for the city as well?
I do, and So 80th West, New Bingham Highway is Old Bingham Highway, I believe is the address, but you can see it's a kind of triangular piece where Old and New Bingham Highway almost intersect. It's getting close to that point. You can see to the north directly north of this is a water tank owned by West Jordan, and then a little bit to the northwest is a water reservoir owned by Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. They moved the well water to those, and then of course it's the highest point, and so that's how the water gains its pressure into the homes. And so that's the reason they like these elevations up here, because it's so much higher, 10 to 20 feet higher than the destination of the water. The 5 million gallon water tank will sit on the oval. You can see the disc in the middle, that will be exposed roofing, and then it will have kind of a landscape earthen slopes off to the side of the tank. There's a line running right diagonally through the parcel of property, and that's an overhead transmission power line. That will remain. They'll work around that. The primary access for the water tank will be off of Old Bingham Highway, and they'll have a gated area right here. There'll be no access to off of New Bingham Highway. In fact, New Bingham Highway sits quite a bit above the property. You can see the diagram on the left shows approximately how much the tank will come out of the ground. I believe they're calling it a reservoir. But on the Old Bingham Highway side, it'll be about 17 to 18 feet, but it will have that sloped look because of the landscape berm and the earth around it. And then on the New Bingham Highway, it'll be about 11 feet out of the ground. And as you can see, the landscape plan that the applicant is proposing, it's a very well landscaped site. It's all water-wise plants, so there won't be a huge need for a lot of irrigation water. Of course, I guess they have it available there, but they don't want to be wasting it necessarily watering the tank landscaping, but it will need to be irrigated until the landscaping is maintained, and that's one of the conditions of approval. Staff recommends approval of both the site plan approval for the water tank and the conditional use approval per the conditions on page 2 of the staff report. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Any questions? All right, this was also noticed as a public meeting, so we'll open up the meeting to public comments on this item. And we'll close the meeting to public comments on this item. Discussion from the Planning Commission relative to item number 3 on the agenda. Commissioner Quinney.
Seeing that there's nobody that wants to talk about this, I'll just go ahead and make a motion on both of these, if that's okay.
Thank you.
First one, I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary site plan for South Jordan City Zones 7 and 8 a $5 million gallon water tank located at 8000 West Old Bingham Highway in the PF zone, subject to the conditions 1 through 5.
Commissioner Sikoski.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Quinney and a second by Commissioner Sikoski. Is there any discussion of this motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Commissioner Quinney.
I move that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit for South Jordan City Zone 7 and 8, 5 million gallon water tank located at 8000 West Old Bingham Highway in the PF zone, subject to conditions 1 through 4.
Commissioner Sikoski.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Quinney and a second by Commissioner Sikoski. Any discussion of this motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0. Thank you for coming this evening. Have a good night, neighbors. Last item on the agenda, West Jordan Park Arts Center rezone, approximately 7833 South, 1985 West. Rezone approximately 7.91 acres from R110B, as in boy, zone, and 1.93 acres from R38 zone to PF, Public Facilities Zone. City of West Jordan is the applicant. Mr. Gardner has this application this evening.
And this zone change is really housekeeping, as I said in the pre-meeting. You can see on the map, you can kind of make out where the two areas are. They're primarily to the west of the road going out of the park to 78 South. However, there is a piece just north of where the new cultural arts facility will go. That will be rezoned. And Area 1 is the PF zone, you can see between, that's where the West Jordan Museum is. That was a single parcel of property that was zoned that way when they purchased that property for the museum. The other area is just west of that, and what it will do is rezone all of the leftover remnant or leftover residential zones that have been there for decades to all public facilities, so it will make way for building of the arts facility in the future.
Great, thank you. Well, since you represent one and the same, the applicant and the city, we'll ask if there's any questions to address either from an applicant standpoint or city staff standpoint. All right, this is also noticed as a public meeting. We'll open the meeting up once again for public comments. Come one, come all. Come on down. We'll close the public hearing. Any commissioner have an action that he or she would like to take? Commissioner Sikoski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council to rezone approximately 7.91 acres from R110B zone and 1.93 acres from R38 zone to PF, Public Facilities Zone, on the property located approximately 7833 South, 1985 West.
Commissioner Luthi.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Sikoski and a second by Commissioner Luthi. Any discussion of that motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 6-0, which concludes our agenda this evening. A reminder that we're back on our regular schedule for the month of August on the first and third Tuesday. So that would be Tuesday, August 1st would be our next meeting. Commissioner Sikoski.
I'd like to move to adjourn.
Any problem with that motion? So moved. We stand adjourned till August 1st.